Okay, we should be live now. I don't see anybody has joined yet, but yeah, there are three people. So those who have joined, if you could confirm that you could hear me just by typing a comment on the chat, then that'll be really nice. Okay, looks like the audio and video is going through fine. All right. So namaste and welcome everyone to the Test Chat YouTube channel. It is really good to be back after a long gap of more than a year. I don't know what happened, but whatever happened is a subject for another day. But today I have two of my gurus, the legendary James Bach and the legendary Michael Bolton, back on the YouTube channel. So welcome back, both of you. It is an absolute honor to have you both in the channel.
Hi. Thank you.
Hey, Michael, your typing is very loud. Is your
it's picking up the typing. Right? Well, here's what I'm doing.
Like right next to your microphone? Is it right there? Sounds
yeah, like but here's what I'm doing. I'm announcing that we've just gone live for LinkedIn. So
okay.
I'll be done in just a second. What's the date today? It's February 12th, right?
So I'm sure Rajesh will edit this out.
Yes.
And time's up.
Hey.
No.
Thanks for being here with me, guys.
Unfortunately, James, we are already live, so I can't edit a live.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes. Anyways, so today this episode, this podcast discussion is not actually a how-to episode. It is more of a truth episode, as that's how I would like to call it. Because most teams don't fail because they cannot test. They fail because they don't want what serious testing reveals. So, James and Michael, first of all, congratulations on your book that came out in November, Taking Testing Seriously. I mean, and congratulations to not just the two of you, but also to your co-authors. It is so fantastic and so thoughtful to include so many of our wonderful colleagues to share their thoughts in the book. And
the book only exists because of the co-authors. We were always planning to write a book someday, but it was Hype, Scoots, and Marius Franku that came to us and said, if you guys aren't going to write a book, your friends are going to write a book about rapid software testing. And so do you want to be a part of that? And so that's when I realized I didn't want a book written that I wasn't in charge of. So I decided I had to step up, and Michael had to step up. And we it's embarrassing when your friends want to write a book about your life's work and you're not ready to. So we had to, we were poked with swords from behind to lead the battle.
Well, so great job, Hab and Marius, for doing that, because I think it is it was high time that there was a book out there, and it is out there now, and people have been reading that book. It has created a lot of buzz, and there are a lot of conversations happening about the book. So I thought, okay, why not take an opportunity to talk to you both and share some of those thoughts here in our conversation. So James and Michael, the book title, in my opinion, is a bit of a provocation. So my first question to both of you is, what does taking testing seriously look like on a random day of the week, of the work week?
It means I'm thinking about testing on that day.
Every day.
It means I want to serve my clients every day, looking for problems, finding problems before it's too late.
It keeps beating me to it. what we want to do is we want to help the organization find out whether the product it's got is the product it wants. Now, it's easy to demonstrate that the product can do things. That's not hard, right? They can do something, and it shows that it appears to do something. It appears to meet some requirement to some degree, but that's not the essence of testing. It's like when we talk about a kid testing our patients, the kid is challenging us. The kid is trying stuff that's not in sort of normal or desirable. Just see how far they can go. That's what we want to do with testing. We don't want to leave it at saying, oh, it can do this, and leave it at that.
Right.
So, I like what you said, Brijesh, though. You said something important. You said that our title was provocative.
Yes.
And you're the first person that I have heard say that, which disappoints me, because I meant the title to be like taking a piece of cake and smashing it into the face of my professional rivals. I am trying to bait them. It's a true title. I think we take testing seriously. I don't think they take testing seriously. Certain professional rivals of mine, I don't think they take testing seriously. I think that's a problem. I do take it seriously. My friends, people I respect, take it seriously. But it's like nobody has mentioned that. I'm waiting for somebody to say, this is the most arrogant title of a testing book that's ever been. Or maybe The Complete Guide to Software Testing by Bill Hetzel is a similarly arrogant title. And, I met Bill Hetzel, and he told me that his original title was The Almost Complete Book of Software Testing. And the publisher made him remove the word almost. He didn't want that, but they forced him. But we were trying to make a provocative title. Thank you for noticing.
Yes. No, the reason why I noticed is because I will tell you. So in my experience, I am seeing a random use of the word testing and also quality, for that matter. I mean, people are just abusing these terms left and right. So I do not know if people, especially people who are involved in engineering, people who are involved in product development, really understand what testing is, and if they do take it seriously or not. So thank you so much for the book and for the title. First of all, I mean, for making it forceful. I I could picture you smashing that cake. So it is interesting that there are so many conversations that have triggered, but nobody has got to the point where they would ask about the title. So I want to hear a little more about it and understand, why did you think that you needed this kind of a title for the book?
I mean, okay, I chose the title, which surprisingly, I don't think Michael objected.
Oh, I remember exactly where I was when I heard it. I was on my bike, as I often am.
Usually Michael argues with me about these things, but I don't remember you arguing with me about this.
Well, that's the point. I didn't say I argued. I was on my bike, and I enthusiastically said, damn, that's a good title. When you said, taking testing seriously, the rapid software testing approach. It covers a lot of bases. It's an approach. Yes. It's an appeal to take testing seriously. It works. It worked right away. It landed immediately.
Yeah, and see, I appreciate people who take testing seriously, even if they don't agree with my approach to testing. What always bothers me throughout my whole career is I try to talk about testing in a deep way, and most of the people I encounter just roll their eyes and go, I don't care. From the very first day that I was a tester, on May 21st, 1987, my first day as a tester, I could not get anybody to enter into a deep conversation with me about how you're supposed to do testing. They were like, just, make stuff up, muddle through. That's the rest, what the rest of us do. And I said, that is crazy. And I decided in my first week at Apple Computer that I would write an orientation guide for new software testers so that new software testers coming after me would not have to go through the annoyance of people not having anything to say about how am I supposed to do this? I want to do a good job. Tell me how to do a good job. So that really is why I am where I am today. It's because I decided nobody is in goal. It's like you're in a football game. Nobody is in goal. Nobody's covering. And I thought I didn't sign up to be a goalie, but I guess I'm a goalkeeper now because it's a job that needs to be done. It's up to me after everyone else falls asleep on the field to sit there and try to block all the shots coming at goal.
Yeah.
And if no one else is going to take goalkeeping seriously, I'm gonna do it. So that really started way back then, and I asked myself, if I were a great tester, what would that look like, and how do I know? And I looked at books, I looked at standards, and none of them made sense to me. Almost none. There's a little bit in the art of software testing that makes sense, but the rest of it looked like nonsense to me. It's like, have these guys even ever tested before in their life? These people who wrote testing books? Because what they're doing has nothing to do with what I'm seeing on my projects. And so I thought, I guess I have to invent testing for real because these other people are talking fables. They're talking fantasy. I want to talk about real stuff that's happening at Apple Computer today, every day on my projects. That was the beginning of the rapid software testing idea. I didn't know it at the time. And part of taking testing seriously is that subtitle, as Michael pointed out, because part of taking testing seriously is to say, we realize that among serious testers, there are very big disagreements about what is good testing. So we're not going to say, we are going to speak for everybody. We are going to tell you what testing is, because testing is a fractured community. And we actually represent a tiny minority of that community. Rapid software testers are a small part of it. We think of ourselves as sort of the Jesuits of testing, the Jedi masters of testing. That's what we think of ourselves as, of course. But of course, how we are seen is we're the crazy old men of testing, muttering to ourselves and feeding pigeons in the park. I think that's what some of our rivals think we are, or that we're insurgents who are bombing post offices. Like how they
Boris
see us
Beiser
is very different.
Boris Beiser once referred to us as the touchy-feely approach to software testing, and I thought, no, we're the thinky-worky approach. So, and actually, another critique of that is that so much of what people refer to as testing ignores the touchy-feely bits. Getting your hands and eyes on the project and getting a feeling for what it's like. So a touchy-feeling in a way is not an insult. It's a compliment. Thank you, Boris, for recognizing what we care about.
That we're empiricists. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that brings me to a question. What's the most common way teams tend to think that they are serious about testing, but it's actually theater?
You take that one, Michael.
All right. That's been going on for a long time too. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier. A long time ago, I was involved in a little experiment at the company that I was working at, when we set tech support people on a testing assignment one evening. The test manager bought a bunch of pizza because, as we know, people who work in software, the only fuel that they can take is pizza. And he gave them a set of instructions to follow. And then he used that to point out that people who are following instructions instead of engaging with the product and using their minds and using their observational powers, people who are merely following instructions don't find very many problems. In that testing organization, we had more or less free reign. There were no test scripts. There were no test cases. We didn't have time for that. But when people don't understand something, when people who don't understand how a particular task or role works, they want to reduce it to recipes. And so those recipes became, in many places in the world, but it seems to me, alas, especially in India, ways of believing that people could understand what testing was, that they could understand what was going on because they could formalize it, proceduralize it, turn it into a set of scripts. That didn't seem to be working very well, and it was slow and tedious, and it didn't find any bugs. So somebody had a great idea. Let's take that process, and instead of having a human run through the script, let's have a machine run through the script. So what you got was bad testing, accelerated, ramped up to the point where people could say, but look, thousands of test cases going by on the screen. Lo, there be testing. So that's, I think, the biggest form of theater is involved in the idea that we're demonstrating that the product works and demonstrating that testing is being done by focusing on artifacts and trappings of testing rather than on the activity of testing, performance of testing, not scripts or artifacts.
That's exactly what I psychically told Michael to say.
Well,
and
Michael,
he did that because I psychically implanted that idea in his mind, and then he psychically got me to say it for him.
Well, Michael, in your response, you made a mention of the sacred object for many, test cases. So, James, I want you to try and respond to this question: that what problems are test cases usually solving, and why is that problem often not or nothing to do with testing?
The number one problem that test cases solve is the legibility problem. So test cases are what we call in sociology boundary objects.
Yes.
A boundary object is something that means one thing to one community and another different thing to another community. So a classic kind of boundary object is money. If you make violins and I want to play violins, I can give you money. You'll give me a violin. I don't have to know what a violin means to you. Maybe a violin means to you that it's an example of your craft. It's a pride in your family tradition of violin making. It's a work of art. And to me, it's a way of making music. We don't have to agree on the meaning of a violin. We don't have to coordinate on that because money is the means of exchange. A bug report is a boundary object because a bug report from a tester's point of view is an example of their great work an example of their value to the project. It's proof that, look, you need us. But a bug report doesn't mean that to a developer. It means, oh, more work for me to do. You're giving me a to-do item. Thanks a lot.
Or even
think
worse,
of it as criticism.
Yeah, you're exposing something that I didn't do. Ah!
Yeah.
Or you're accusing me of making an error when it's actually the requirements people who made the error. So there's lots of interpretations of these objects.
Right. So the thing about a boundary object in sociology, and if you start thinking about boundary objects, you start seeing them everywhere in your life. The thing about a boundary object is it doesn't matter how you create it. You just have to create it. And like, no one cares where you got the money to pay them. I mean, this, in some cases they do, but generally speaking, if you buy something at a supermarket, they don't care. They don't check where your money came from. They just, as long as you produce the money, that's fine. So test cases act as boundary objects. Management says, I don't know what you did to create these, and I don't care, because I can look at the test cases as if that was the testing. George Carlin, the comedian, had a line where he said, humans are the Earth's way of making plastic. So you can just imagine that the Earth, like, I don't care what these humans are doing or what poetry they write or Shakespeare or Beethoven. As long as they produce that plastic for me, they're doing their job.
The Earth wanted plastic, and it invented humans to create it.
Humans were the solution. So the plastic is the boundary object. So legibility means readability. Legibility means outsiders think they understand what you're doing. And test cases create legibility. That's the number one reason why people want them. Because they say, don't tell me all the ins and outs of how you thought of your tests or what they mean. Just shut up, document your test cases, and be quiet otherwise. And then have your test cases. And you might think, what's wrong with that? Well, what's wrong with that is your clients think they don't really need you. Your clients think all you are is Earth's way of making plastic. As long as they get the plastic, they don't care. As long as they get the test cases, they don't care about you. Now AI comes along. And AI can create test cases way faster than you can. So if your clients, if your people you work for are test case oriented, you are now unneeded. Certainly don't need to pay you very much, or if anything, because the AI is going to do all that. So that's why we have to be really careful about test cases and not let them be the sole way that we make our work legible.
By the way, if you want to understand legibility, listeners, a really nice summary of the point is in a blog post called A Big Little Idea Called Legibility by a guy named Venkatesh Rao. And his website is Ribbon Farm. So if you look for Ribbon Farm and legibility on a non-AI infected search engine, it will come up pretty much right away. The other thing I'd refer to is a blog post series of mine called Breaking the Test Case Addiction. And if you search for that string, you will find that post, which outlines our a lot of what we think about ways of making testing legible in a more in a clearer way, in a way that doesn't mislead so much.
A less abusable way.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So, so in my experience, what I've also seen is that, managers or leaders, what they expect from test cases, is repeatability. And so my question here is, when leaders start demanding repeatability, what are they protecting themselves from?
Well, it's used to say that they're not looking for test coverage there; they're looking for ass coverage. Right? They're,
Yeah,
uh,
CYA,
yeah,
CYA. Yeah.
yeah. Basically, they want to point to an artifact and say, "Well, we had a recipe for finding bugs, and it just got away. Nothing we could do. We had a list of stuff that should have caught this problem, and it didn't catch the problem." And that's just down to bad luck. That's
Well, not
all it's about.
necessarily.
Oh,
They can always say, if you'd only given us more time, we would have made a longer list and then we would have caught the bug, but you didn't give us enough time. So you can always say that no matter how many test cases you have. If anything's not found, you just shrug and go, hey, next time, let us make more test cases. That'll do it. And it's just a canned excuse.
So for us, we should probably make this clear for those who aren't as familiar with our stuff. For the 6 people who are interested in this podcast who've never seen any of our work.
Take
For
testing
us,
seriously, yes.
people who take testing seriously, yes. Testing is the process of evaluating a product by learning about it through experiencing, exploring, and experimenting. That's key. Experiencing, exploring, and experimenting. Interacting with the product, examining it, learning about it. Those are all essential aspects of testing. But when you focus on test cases, testing turns into a test case maintenance project or a automated script maintenance project, which represents opportunity cost against the evaluation and the learning about the actual product. That's a big, big part of what we're trying to help people get over.
Well, so my follow-up to that is, let's say I go and delete all the test cases that are there in the repository tomorrow. So what do you think will break first? Will it be testing or will it be management's comfort?
Break?
Yeah,
You mean delete?
yes. If I delete all the test cases, what's going to break? I mean, will somebody come and say that, oh, testing has
Well, I
broken
think
down?
I think what will break is the illusion that test cases were doing anything for you. You know, it reminds
Right.
me of the time I was trying to debug a program, and it took me 5 hours that I was working on this thing, and I was putting in print statements into my code, and and they weren't. It wasn't reaching the code that I thought it should be reaching, so I would change the code. And my son was came up and started watching me. He was 10 years old at the time, and uh, finally, out of desperation, I deleted all of the code in the program, so it was an empty file. And then I ran it, and the bug was still there. And then it was only then I realized, oh, and my son, turns out he was wondering about this because he had seen the same thing, but he hadn't said anything, which is I was changing a program in one directory, but running a program of the same name that was in a different directory the whole time. That's why I couldn't find this bug. So if you think that testing works by making test cases good, and so you keep trying to improve the test cases and testing doesn't get better, you delete the test cases and you find out that the testers can do just as good or better a job now without any test cases at all. That's evidence that it wasn't the test cases all along, Dorothy, that mattered. You had the power all along with the ruby slippers to do the testing that you needed to do.
Although a lot of times these days people use the Python slippers. Dad joke.
Well, okay, so here is a question that is coming from the audience. How is the best way to transform from artifact to activity based test reporting without management power?
Just do it because they won't notice. You
Yeah,
can do it privately.
I've always pointed out that, where I've gone, people say, but how can we test without test cases when management, will find out? Well, management isn't paying attention. Much of the time, management isn't paying attention. There's an illusion that they're paying attention because there's this big repository. And they ask, how many test cases do you have? And you say, 784. And they say, great. And they're not looking at any of them. They're not looking at what they do. They're not watching you work. Because if they were watching you work and you were doing what they think you're doing, they'd be horrified.
They all you have to do is change the definition of test case. For instance, you may have heard of session-based test management, where you test with sessions instead of test cases. I invented that with my brother at Hewlett Packard in the year 2000, 26 years ago now. And we were trying to push back against them counting test cases and wanting test cases all the time. So we said, we'll give you test sessions instead. And I'm convinced that when we showed them what we were doing, management said, okay, these are just test cases, but they call them test sessions instead. They didn't see how different it was for the tester's experience. They didn't understand that a test charter, which looks like a test case, is not a test case in crucial ways. But they didn't care about those subtle distinctions. They just said, whatever, we're just going to call these test cases and we're going to count these test sessions now the way we were trying to count test cases before. But a test session is based on time. So it actually makes sense to count test sessions because they're all normalized in terms of time. All they're doing is counting the hours of testing that we're doing, which actually makes some sense. If you say, I did 30 test cases and someone else says I did one test case, I don't know. That could be the same testing. It could be the person who did one test case actually did more testing than the person who did 30 test cases. But when you say, I spent 30 hours on this documenting what I did, and the other person says I spent 1 hour, there's a real difference there of some kind, unless it's total fraud, of course, and they were playing video games the whole time. So we changed the concept of test case. We used the same test case. Well, at Hewlett Packard, we created our own system. But since then, I've worked with companies where we use the same test case management system, but instead of the classic test cases, they put session reports in. And I've set up a JIRA system for one company so that they were tracking test sessions and test session reports, just like test cases, same software, but a different meaning. And that's why a test case can be a boundary object, because you can change its internal nature. And the other side that's receiving these test cases or seeing them casually, they might go, whatever. It's as long as you file the files and put them in the right place, I don't care.
There's another advantage too. And that is that when you say, I did 3 hours of testing, if they're concerned about that in any way, they're going to say, what did you do in those 3 hours? Whereas if you said, I ran 300 test cases, our experience is they're going to say, oh, cool. And they're not going to engage with the activity, and they're not going to engage with the report. They're going to look at green and red lights on a screen. Whereas if you leave something deliberately a little bit open and prompt the inquiry, that can make a really, really big difference, because it immediately, for a respectable tester, a serious tester, it immediately turns the conversation around to investigation of risk and problems. Whereas if you say, a bunch of test cases, they'll go, okay, whatevs.
So I have another interesting question from coming in from the audience, and this comes in from Setu Rangarajan. I listened to 1 hour podcast on James Michael explaining about QA and testing. Most organizations are confused with this. For testing, Michael has already given an explanation. How about QA? Now,
Quality assurance is two things. Two things. I mean, just the words on its own, assuring the quality of something. Now, how can you do that? You can do that if you're responsible for it. So, when I write code as the programmer, I am responsible for assuring the quality of my work, warranting it in some sense, right? Now, I'm not going to say it's perfect. I'm going to say, at least it seems to do this. At least it does this. I warrant that it's going to produce this result, this output, given these inputs. I haven't tried absolutely everything necessarily, but at least it does this. As a manager, I can assure the quality of the work of the team or the group because I have responsibility and authority over that, right? I can hire and fire the programmers. I can discipline them. I can ask them to do something different from what they're doing. I can ask them to keep doing the good things that they're doing. I can do all that. So there's another way of talking about quality assurance, and that is to say that quality assurance is the work of software development. It is the work of people who are developing software to assure its quality. Right? I mean, it comes with the job. It is the job of management to do that, whether that's group management or self-management. Quality assurance is a management function. The way testing plays into that is we got to find out whether quality has in fact been assured, right? Or whether there's any reason to doubt somebody's warrant or to doubt somebody's belief or statement that what they've done is quality work. Testing tests that belief, tests that idea empirically. So I don't cotton to the idea that testing is QA. And it has bugged me ever since Ken Kainer pointed this out in 1997. So we're talking 30 years now.
yeah.
It bugs me that anyone believes, especially testers, that testing assures quality. It doesn't. Testing assesses quality, helps to assess quality, but it doesn't assure it because testing doesn't change the product. It doesn't make things better. It doesn't reduce risk, except for one thing. It reduces the risk of oblivion. Right? Testing does that.
A skeleton key to all of the work that Michael and I do is if you just look at everything we talk about through a prism, through eyeglasses, decoder glasses of recklessness versus responsibility, a lot of what we say you will be able to make sense of. Testing is not about quality, it's about responsibility as opposed to being reckless. If you want to be reckless, you don't need to test your software. Yeah. It turns out that it is legal to run your business in a reckless way, which is why testing is not a very popular industry. It's not a powerful industry because people can shrug and go, I don't feel like being responsible. I feel like making money. So I'm just going to throw my stuff out there and see what happens. And if something goes wrong, I'll go, sorry. And maybe it'll be okay. Maybe I won't go to jail.
Which for a game is fine. I was listening to an old Jerry Weinberg podcast just yesterday, and he pointed out that, if there's a bug in a game and the game crashes or the game does something bizarre, that's all right. Nobody gets hurt. In fact, it becomes part of the game to avoid that thing or to exploit it. That's fine. Yeah. But when you're talking about data that matters, when you're talking about people's money or people's livelihoods, people's freedom, people's capacity to learn something, people's capacity to be entertained without being annoyed by a streaming platform that crashes, then it is in everybody's interest, yours and your clients, to take testing seriously and to avoid recklessness.
But if you're a company and you think of your users as willing victims, which I think the AI industry thinks of most of the people who use AI as willing victims, happily being guinea pigs for whatever OpenAI puts out. There's a whole bunch of people willing to be annoyed or hurt or to risk being hurt, and
or to be oblivious to the possibility of being hurt. That's another
oblivious to the possibility, and the lawmakers aren't doing anything about it. So all OpenAI and companies like it, Google, have to worry about is the occasional public relations problem of hurting children. Even that, as we've seen with Grok, is a slow-acting deterrent. So that makes it tough for testers, because I mean, I work only for clients that say, we want to put out a good product. We want our product to be good. Our users are not victims. Our users are important people that we care about. We want them to have a good experience with this product. And so I hang my shingle waiting for clients like that. And next door is a wild party going on with drunk people wandering in and out, doing drugs in the street. And there's a lot more people in the building next door than in my little hermit's cottage of serious testing.
Well, you know, James. I mean, I've been saying this for some time now, that people often claim that quality is everyone's responsibility, especially when it comes to agile teams and stuff like that. But more often than not, quality is not everyone's priority, though. And that's where the problem arises, that it may be everyone's responsibility, maybe, but it is definitely not everyone's priority. And that's why,
well, wait,
people.
Prishesh, hang on.
Yeah.
What is quality?
It is something of value to someone who matters.
Okay. So I would argue that everybody on the project is producing quality work all the time, whether we think of it as quality work or not, in the sense that they are trying to satisfy some person or some persons who matters to them.
Yes.
Okay. So this accusation that you don't care about quality is very iffy. The reason it's iffy is because they say, of course I care about quality. My manager insists that I get this code out quickly, and speed and the availability of the product is a dimension of quality. This is something that the quality coaches don't talk about, and it bugs me intensely that they don't talk about it.
It bugs me that it's an empty statement. When someone says quality is everyone's responsibility, you're not saying anything. You're not requiring anybody to do anything ever. It's just an empty slogan. Like it's kindness is good. Okay, it's a truism. It doesn't cause you to have to do anything at all. And what I keep seeing is that it's used as a defense against my challenges, where I challenge people to take testing seriously, and they go, whoa, quality is everyone's responsibility. Why are you talking to me? You shouldn't be talking to me about it. Don't yell at me for not knowing anything about the testing. Yell at the whole team. Oh, but the whole team isn't here in the room right now, so I guess you can't say anything. You have to convene a conference of the entire team, and then we will all answer you except it's too expensive to get everybody together. So I guess we will never have that conversation. In other words, quality is everyone's responsibility is a dodge. It's an excuse. And it's also
I agree.
meaningless.
At one point, Jerry Weinberg commented on a blog post I did where I was complaining about a similarly empty slogan: on an agile team, everybody cares about quality. And Jerry commented, it's always a great honor to have Jerry comment on something, because he would always say something that would either support me in a wonderful way or to point out where I was wrong. In this case, it was the first. He said, when I use my various macro replacement substitutions on the statement, on an agile team, everybody cares about quality, he says, what I end up with is, on a good team, everybody is good.
See, it turns into a truism. On a good team, everyone is good. Yeah. So we think that it's important, if you're going to talk about responsibility, that specific people put specific energy into this. And if I am in charge of a company, if everyone works for me, and the people who work for me say, we're all responsible for quality, I would stop them and say, what do you think I'm here for? I pay you. I am the only person actually responsible for quality. If I don't create the conditions where you can produce a good product, where you feel invited to produce a good product, there will not be a good product. I have the power as the manager of everybody to block quality
for some person.
No matter what you want to do, I can stop you from creating a quality product. So,
True.
If there's going to be a quality product, it's because you have what you need to do your job. So I have to create an environment where this is going to happen. It's down to me. I'm the only one who can do that. I can't pass this responsibility to anyone else. If you're driving a car, you can't say, I'm tired of taking the responsibility of watching the road, so someone in the back watch the road for me, because I'm going to get some sleep. You cannot hand off your responsibility for driving to someone else who's not in the driver's seat.
Or to full self-driving.
If you do so, that is called scapegoating. You create scapegoats. So as a manager, I don't want to create a goatscape of people who are taking the blame for my bad management. You can understand why bad managers absolutely want to get the blame off them and point at other people and say, well, the product would have been good, except this intern didn't push the right button. So let's just get rid of the intern and everything will be great.
I can't wait, by the way, until ChatGPT starts saying, in the ever-changing goatscape of software development.
Ever-changing goatscape.
All right. So, Michael, I mean, you've, listening to you over the years, you've, spoken a lot about, tacit knowledge. And so if testing skill is partly tacit, I would like to know, how do we scale it beyond a few heroes?
Well, let's create the idea that in a culture, in an environment, everybody wants to be, in a healthy culture, everybody wants to be, in some sense, heroic, right?
Yeah.
A hero is somebody who goes beyond the boundaries of what people anticipate or what people might desire from them to something even better than that. I want to be a hero, dang it. But somehow, somewhere along the way, especially in agile culture, it seems to me, certain parts of agile culture, the word hero became a term of derision something we don't
Yeah.
want. That a hero was somebody who, I don't know, grabs credit for something, or somebody who
True.
works harder. You know, who's a hero? I mean, think of a hero. Name a hero.
Arav Karana.
God of
Okay.
Kurana. Yes.
Okay.
He just showed up. He just showed up on the chat, and Gaurav has done a lot of interesting work.
Stuff.
Is
Yes.
it?
Yeah,
Have I got the right Gaurav? Isn't this the guy with the YouTube
yes.
channel?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, he
Right.
is.
I had a
He's the
big
one.
fight with Gaurav on the test chat. Wasn't he the guy I was fighting with? I think I had a big fight with him, and at one time long ago. And then I saw his YouTube channel.
No, it was Naveen.
Oh, it was
James,
Naveen.
it was Naveen. Yeah.
Okay, so these guys with their YouTube channels, I think they're heroes because many of them I disagree with, but I still think they're heroes.
Here's a hero.
They're
Here's
putting
somebody.
themselves out there. They're putting a stake in the ground. They're opening themselves to criticism, and that creates a vibrant testing community, and that's what I hope there's more of.
Here's somebody I think of as a hero, and it was over a month ago, and it was a very quick interaction. I think her name was Kathy, but I don't think that's right either. I don't know. The nurse who is tending to my uncle, who is in fairly desperate shape. He's very near to the end of his life, and she came in, as she does with maybe 20 people every day. She came into his room. She tended to him. She joked with him, and she's not getting paid squillions of dollars that software developers, and even she probably gets paid less than the average tester. Those people are heroes.
Yes.
Right? So people who commit to something, and who do the work, and who do the job, and who do so selflessly in a dedicated kind of way, that's heroes. So when somebody says no more heroes, I want to look at them and say, shut up. I want a whole team full of heroes.
If you get rid of heroes,
support people.
If you get rid of heroes, all you're left with is scripts, is robots. Heroism is when my 1-year-old son held out a half-eaten muffin to me and said, "Want some?" Because for the first time in his young life, he thought of someone outside of himself who might want a muffin. And when he did that, I was gobsmacked because I hadn't trained him to think of other people. He originated that in himself, and it came out. His empathy at a young age. I was there. That's a kind of heroism where someone within themselves takes an initiative and says, I see a problem. I'm going to solve it because it needs to be solved. That's real heroism. And it doesn't have to be superhuman, but it is magical in a way. It's unprompted.
But there's
the prompted stuff that you do with AI.
But James, you're making me realize that I didn't actually answer Brigitte. Sorry, it's the first day with the new mouth. Brigitte's question was about how do you bring that out? How do you do that? And the way you do it is through culture. Because James, that kid, your son, didn't do that on his own. He was immersed in a family of caring people. You modeled what it was like. You and Lenore, your wife, you modeled what it was like.
We didn't prompt.
Just by doing your thing. You didn't prompt him to do it. You prompt.
He had access to training data. I'll grant you that. We didn't prompt him.
Yeah.
I know that. The thing
so
is,
you didn't make it.
For people who aren't parents, anyone who's not a parent could look at somebody else's child, somebody's child, and go, oh, if the child does anything good, probably the parents would say, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. And the child goes, okay, I'll do it. But when you're a parent, you know all those little moments when your child does something that you never taught the child to do, and you know they didn't see it on television either. You know exactly what their life is pretty much, and so it's just so amazing as a parent to watch the emergence of personality and these heroic moments in every human's life. You get to see that firsthand as a parent, and it really gave me an appreciation for everyday heroism.
Which is, and how does that come to pass? It comes to pass through socialization, which essentially is the process of a community of people working together or sharing a set of values, a form of life, as Harry Collins would say. And that process of socialization, I quickly hasten to add, is not available to AI. AI and software are not social agents. They are tools. And people talk about how AI has learned everything by looking at the whole World Wide Web. It hasn't. It's not engaged in a social process. It doesn't have what we would call collective tacit knowledge.
Right.
There's no that. So collective tacit knowledge is transferred, is built through immersion in communities, in forms of life. So if you want to make testing more powerful, there's a bit of a bootstrapping process, because in order to do that, you've got to create a culture and an environment, a social milieu in which great testing is possible and is visible and is legible and accessible to people. So you've got to model that mostly by doing it.
Right. So now I want to go to one aspect. I deeply care about, and that is the language traps that we tend to fall into. Now, normal, the word normal is a danger word. What other danger words do you think that sabotage testing?
Going to talk about the new normal, James?
Well, that's not his question. The
Oh.
question is, what other danger words are there? And Michael, you have like a big list of danger words. Michael is constantly challenging me on the word just. He just can't stop. He just can't stop complaining about the word just. So I think the word just is a decent word, and I use it frequently, and I disagree with those who say, oh, you shouldn't use the word just. But I agree that it can be abused. It can be used abusively. Absolutely. Just like the word normal. And here's another one, common sense. The term common sense is a danger term, because usually it means if you don't agree with me, then you are insane. You are a sick person. Because and also the word reality is frequently a danger term. Here's a danger phrase: when somebody says better than nothing. Like I've been in arguments with process people who want me to follow crazy processes. And I go, I'm not going to do that. And they go, well, it's better than nothing. And that's like saying, you might as well invade another country and replace all its citizens with people from your country, because it's better than the country just being empty, isn't it? Wait, it's not empty. There's people already there. Like, oh yeah, but not anyone who matters.
Yeah, I always say friendly fire is not better than not shooting.
What do you think of the word done?
Done's a great one.
Done is a good example of a danger term. Yeah. I don't understand why Agile teams abuse the word done so much. They say things are done, And I go, has it been fully tested? Oh no. Well, then it's not done. Just don't tell me it's
Well,
done when there's still work that we need to do on it.
well,
The big
I have come
decoder ring for
across.
that is to recognize that many words that we use in software development represent relationships and not properties.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Done is always according to whom, relative to what. And, if you're addressing that, if you say, I'm done, oh, you know what? I'm done creating this little bit of code that I just made with Claude Code. Oh, what do you mean by done? Well, I slop coded it. I haven't actually even run it yet, but it's done. Well, okay, now let's run it. Oh, there's a problem in it. So, I guess I wasn't done. All right, so you get to the point where it is now plausible, right? It seems to work. It seems to do stuff okay. Have you tested it deeply? Well, no. But it's done to a plausible state, but it's not done to a validated state.
We want to suggest a heuristic. And this is heuristic that I think you named, Michael.
Yes.
We call it the plural pry bar.
Pluralization pry bar.
The pluralization pry bar. So if you've got a term that you suggest is a danger term, meaning that it can be interpreted in different ways by different people, and people could get confused and be talking at cross purposes, we recommend pluralizing it. So when you say done, we can say dones. There might be many dones. Which done are you speaking of? The done as in, I have done all the coding I can think of for now, done? Or do you mean the done, I'm ready for my grandmother to use it without assistance on her iPad, done? Like which done are we talking about? I'm ready for regulators to see it. I'm ready to be audited. Done. There's different kinds of dones. And that using a plural term in a singular way is one of the little anti-patterns, you might say. It's one of the little problems we have to be aware of. That's why in our book we talk about the 7 different ideas of normal. There are many normals.
Yep.
For God's sake, I'm trying to enter the chat, by the way, and StreamYard is telling me, whoops, we're having trouble connecting you to your YouTube account.
You just need to log in.
I just need to log in. Well, I did log in, and it just didn't show up. Please try connecting again. Machine.
It works fine for me.
No, I guess you're just saying that.
Okay, so when people use such vague language, how do you challenge such vague language without actually becoming annoying? That's a question that's a challenge that I have had personally.
Okay, it's very hard to not become annoying because you're in no control of whether somebody is annoyed by you. It's up to them whether they're annoyed by you. But I can give a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
A suggestion I have is, for instance, I will not use the term manual testing. I will not use it. I will never say it except to criticize it. So I could, every time someone says manual testing, I could say, I don't know what you're talking about. I could do that, and I sometimes do. If I feel like I want to annoy somebody, I will do that. I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, you could mean so many things when you say manual testing. But a non-annoying way to do that is simply never to use the term. And whenever somebody uses the term with you, you guess what they mean. And when you turn around and talk back to them, you use a better term. So I will say experience. They'll say manual testing to me. I'll say interactive testing, or I'll say experiential testing, or I'll say exploratory testing. And they won't bat an eye. Usually they don't go, what do you mean experiential testing? What does that mean? Most people, if they just guess what I mean by experiential testing or interactive testing or exploratory testing, they guess pretty close. And I don't necessarily have to have an annoying conversation about words if I passively use words in the right way. And this also, I learned this as a parenting technique. When my son would mispronounce words and I would correct him, he would go, "No, you don't understand how to say the word barracks." I would say it's barracks, Oliver, barracks, not barracks. Like he'd go, "No, it's barracks." Like look, I've been speaking English longer than you. He's 7 years old and he doesn't believe me that I know how to pronounce words properly. But I found that if I didn't correct him, but I just used the correct pronunciation when I'm around him, then he would change his way of talking. So that would be the non-annoying way to do it.
It doesn't always work, though. As I was saying one day to Hypschutz. That's a bit of an in-joke. Those who are interested in that can refer to the first couple of minutes of this podcast, and perhaps you'll see what I mean.
Yeah.
By the way, I have this time I connected successfully to StreamYard or whatever it is we got here. Connected to YouTube, and sure enough, I still can't post a comment. And what I would like to post to is a couple of things. First, a post to my blog on the relative rule, which is one.
I know why you can't post, Michael. I know what the problem
is. Oh, why is that? What's the problem?
When you tried to log in, you didn't click a certain checkbox that you were supposed to.
I clicked the checkbox a second time.
Oh, and it still doesn't work because it didn't work for me. It didn't work for me the first time because I didn't click the checkbox.
Yeah, so I have to
clear that you were supposed to click.
Do I have to log in?
You have to do the login, yeah. And then now he's gone. Okay. Good. Finally, that guy. Boy, can't stop him. I can have the floor now. Ask a question quick while he's not here.
All right. So the most abused term these days, AI. Almost everybody seems to be an expert these days. So, James, what are the minimum questions a tester must ask before trusting any AI tool?
The minimum questions?
Yes.
For trusting an AI tool. Well, I don't trust AI tools at all. I don't think you need to trust them to get good work done with them. I treat them as always dangerous. In the same way that I don't trust a working firearm, a handgun. You don't trust handguns. You should never trust a handgun. You always treat it, even if it's unloaded, as if it were loaded. You're always careful around it. Anyone who handles firearms and does it professionally always treats a firearm as if it is loaded, even if they absolutely know it is not. And the reason is because those habits make you safe. Even when the gun is loaded, if you habitually always treat a gun as loaded, you're safer in all situations. So I don't ever trust AI tools. I'm always on my guard. And in fact, I have one of my heuristics for working with AI is I always mistrust the first thing that it ever says, no matter how good it looks. The AI output always looks good when you first see it. And I feel that it looks good. I experience the feeling like, hey, this is pretty good. And then I consciously say to myself, it's probably wrong. I can't trust the feeling that it looks good. And then I start looking for problems in it, in what it says. So I operate without trust. It turns out you don't need trust to use AI. You could be cautious at all times. You don't need to trust a chainsaw in order to use a chainsaw to cut down a tree. You can always mistrust a trained chainsaw, even as you are cutting down the tree, and then maybe you will be less likely to injure yourself with a chainsaw. I don't trust knives. I tease my wife by saying she's not allowed to use a knife when she's cooking. And then she always uses a knife when she's cooking anyway. And I catch her doing it. I'm like, you're not allowed to use knives. You might cut yourself. Never use a knife in the kitchen. And she shrugs and keeps using the knife. But it always, I never trust knives. I don't want, they always can cut you, even if it's the friendliest knife.
Oh, I want to meet the friendly knife.
Yeah, I don't trust a friendly knife.
I want to see what a friendly knife looks like. Oh, that
Not
one?
a friendly knife. That's
Oh,
not,
look.
it can cut you.
It has there's a lot more friendliness in this
I've got
than
one
in
too.
many other knives. Yeah.
I don't
By the
trust
way, what happened? I got off the meeting, logged out, logged in, tried to post something to the comment. This comment has failed to post to the test chat. I am so sick of this shit. I am so sick of it. I bump myself out of the meeting, come back in, and I get no more information than that. Failed to post. Something went wrong. Try again later.
It is weird.
I'm up to here with software that frustrates, annoys, just
Okay.
hasn't been exercised in a way that represents real usage. Sick of it.
So, okay. So, Michael, the stuff that you wanted to share, if you could send it to me via LinkedIn, then I can just copy it and paste it here.
I can. That's one way to do it, and I certainly could. But another way is simply for me to speak the magic string that will bring up this stuff in your favorite search engine. So one was the done and the relative rule on the Develop Sense website. And the other was talking about testing, a blog post that describes the approach that James uses, the approach that I share, which is have a conversation with somebody about what you mean if you think there's any doubt about it. And after that, don't hassle them, don't bug them, just model the words that you think are appropriate. And after a while, since you're the testing expert in this particular case, then you'll start talking like the cool kids do. After my doctor outlined important differences when I was much younger, important differences between viruses and bacteria, then I didn't talk to him about germs. I started, I want to sound like I'm in with the doctors. I want to get closer and closer to the point where I feel like I have at least some degree of something better than beer mat expertise about something.
I want to give you an example, Rajesh, of what I mean. One of the things I mean when I say I don't trust AI.
Mm-hmm.
I found a use case for ChatGPT that is very helpful to me, that doesn't require me to trust it at all. When I'm about to post a blog post, I paste it into ChatGPT and I say, are there any typos in this?
Yeah.
And it goes through and it says, oh, this looks wrong, this looks wrong, this looks wrong, this is wrong. And I go down and I go, is that really a typo? Oh, it is. That's really a typo. I'm going to fix that typo. I'm going to fix that typo. I'm going to fix that typo. I would never use ChatGPT to write anything for me, ever.
Yeah.
With one exception. I don't think it's any problem to have an LLM write documentation of a tool, of a technical thing, as a first draft for you, because when you're writing documentation of a tool, it's not written in your authorial voice. It's not like this is me, James Bach, talking. It's just like it's totally objective stuff.
True.
I don't want anyone to ever wonder, did James Bach really write this thing that sounds like it's him talking. Like, yes, I wrote it. I wrote every word. But it is helpful if someone goes through and identifies typographical errors where I didn't put a plural where I should have put a plural, or I have two ofs in a row, something like that, because those are simple mechanical things that don't touch upon my authorial voice. And
Correct. Yep.
so I don't need to trust AI. AI might not have caught all the typos. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it hasn't caught all of them. If it catches even one of them that I think is a typo, then that's better than that's better than not having done that, given that it only takes 15 seconds to do this. If it took a lot longer, if I had to pay a bunch of money for it, it might not be worth it. But so I feel totally comfortable with this, because this is all of AI's work is going through the filter of my own editorial intelligence.
All right, so James,
there you
I
go.
just typed into ChatGPT. The ISTQB is a form of testing methodology. Are there any typos in that sentence?
Yes.
And ChatGPT confidently responds, yes, there's at least one. Methodology should be methodology. Common misspelling.
No, I ignore those kinds of things, right? Because it can't tell that I meant these things on purpose. Sometimes it does guess that wordplay that I do. I've seen this. It will guess that, oh, this looks like you may have done this on purpose. Sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't matter whether it understands it or not, because I'm not just making these changes automatically. Everything goes through my judgment gate.
That's the key. It has to do that.
Yeah. So I can use AI.
Responsible for it.
I can use AI. I can use it productively. It's where I get worried and where I get judgy is when somebody sends AI off on a mission and then just assumes that everything was fine. Like anytime someone says, I did 2 weeks of work in 1 hour. And I know that because at the end of the hour, I looked at it for 3 minutes and didn't see a problem. Like, really? What if you'd looked at it for 2 days? I bet you didn't look at it for 2 days, though, because you don't want to spend the time testing and evaluating your work. Because if you did spend that time, you wouldn't have your 10x increase in productivity. So a lot of these 10xers rely on the fact that they're going to trust the AI. And I just think that is deeply irresponsible. It goes back to everything that Michael and I talk about is predicated on responsibility. And if we let our clients down on that, if we let our friends down, if I let Michael down on responsibility, he will upbraid me on that.
I was amused the other day when I realized that I have speaking of boundary objects, I have a very different interpretation of 10x. Because most people see that as 10 times. Whereas I want to say, solve for x. 10 what? Right?
10 nodes.
So, when people talk about 10x productivity, okay, solve for x.
X is the square root of -1.
Okay, I mean, this is a question which I had noted earlier, and I missed asking earlier. So, how does a tester avoid becoming a scapegoat when leadership ignores the truth and decides to ship the product anyways?
Announce your commitment. Say, I am committed to identifying all of the problems that I can find in the time and the resources I've got available, and I will do that to the greatest extent of my ability. But I do not take responsibility for finding every bug, because I can't. If you want me to find every bug in the product, I can do that. Just tell me where every bug is. And when you say, well, wait, I don't know where every bug is, I'll say, see what I mean? So I cannot accept a mission to be perfect, to find
Right.
every problem that matters. But I can promise a good faith, diligent, responsible effort.
Well, you can also promise one other thing, which is you can promise you will learn from whatever happens next.
Yes.
So that is the top promise any tester can make. I'm going to do my best I can do with the tools you've given me, and maybe I will fail in some way that isn't clear now, but will be clear 2 weeks from now. I will learn from that and get better. And this is exactly how the airline industry has become super safe over the years. That's the guarantee the airlines make. They don't say we guarantee no one will ever die on an airline crash, but they do say we will learn from every crash and work to get better. And that turns out to be a very effective system.
And it's astonishing how good by rights. It's hard to believe that humans can pull off this task, but there hasn't been a
like 99% of the time you don't die on airliners. That's pretty amazing.
More than that, actually. Gaurav had a question for me. Yes. Gaurav had a question for me that I respond to. What if the software had told me the exact error instead of something went wrong? Would you be happy?
Yeah.
And my reply is, well, I might be happier. But what would make me truly happy is for this experience to be a lot closer to seamless, a lot closer to me landing safely in Auckland, which I'm going to be doing.
Why would you be happy, Michael? Why
would I be happy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it is the alternative is to be frustrated or annoyed or confused or
misled. You're saying you won't be frustrated if an error happens and you're told why?
Oh no, I'll still be frustrated, but I'll be happier if it gives me at least a hint, a clue as to what I might do to try to solve the problem. If it's something within my control.
So see,
but most of the time, it's not in my control. That's
so
the problem.
Key is if it gives you information about what you can do next, a constructive thing that you can do. That's the key. So that's why I don't like when these things just say try again later.
Oops, something went wrong.
Is that really all you can tell me? Just try again later? I guess I can do that. But I would prefer something that I could get my teeth into a little bit more. So an error message that helps you have agency. Helps you feel like somebody cares. That makes a world of difference.
There's another question.
I love that question.
Well, I think he meant AI instead of IA. There's a trend in leadership to use AI at any cost, meaning breaking roles, activities, and even teams. And I've seen working environments going toxic because of this. What do you think will happen next?
I can't guarantee what will happen next, but I can tell you that this is unsustainable. I think part of what we're going to see is a big backlash against the callousness and recklessness of people who, for instance, deploy chatbots instead of providing actual customer service. I've got a blog post cooking about the Australian Immigration and Naturalization Service chatbot, which is just a canonical example of something that you don't really need, because what does it do? It points you to a web page. And there's two failures there. One is the information architecture for the site itself should make it easy for you to do that. And the other is that the information that it points you to, supposedly having been curated by a person, is actually not very helpful. And most of the time, it misunderstands the question I'm asking when a human being, and I know this because I called a human being in the aftermath of this, A human being understood right away what I needed to know and was able to direct me and provide a useful and valuable suggestion. So I'm that's going to be one part of a backlash, but it's not sustainable for humans to have so much agency taken away from them, and for for businesses to do such a poor job of that. I don't know how it's going to change. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know how long it's going to take for the AI mental bubble, never mind the financial one, to burst, but it's going to happen. People are going to have to start taking responsibility, or there will be war.
Well, there is a nice comment here. Scapegoating is supported by information vacuum. I don't have the username here. When the tester
That's an
clearly
information
communicates,
vacuum right there.
yes. When the tester clearly communicates what they intend to test, what they did not, or did not test, why they discovered, and how the testing is going, and the
Right.
vacuum is filled. Yes.
Right. That's
And
what I
now
call
the
the
leadership
goatscape.
Goatscape.
The
Okay.
goatscape is when I wasn't just joking. I call it a goatscape if it's a company culture or an environment created by management that invites people to take up the scapegoat role and become scapegoats. And we can push back against that. So I agree with this LinkedIn user. This sounds like a wise statement to me. But of course, leadership might not appreciate having responsibility pushed into their lap. And I have had clients who said, don't tell me about this. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Don't
Yes.
test this. Don't report bugs on it. Because if you do, we'll have to do something about them. I don't want to do something about them. So stop complaining.
Yeah, I question your use of the word leadership there, though, James. Because it seems to me that's the antithesis of leadership, is to say, it's on you.
Well, I'm sorry you misheard me. I said lead or ship. Which
Or
will
get out
it
of the
be?
way.
Which will it be? Do you wish to ship
I
this
like.
product, or do you wish to lead your company?
I'm going to ask ChatGPT if lead or ship is a typo.
Okay, so we have about 2 minutes, and before this session ends, I would like both of you to give the audience at least one action they could take in the next, let's say, 24 hours to take testing seriously.
Perform an experiment. Try something from the basis of this idea. Somebody wants to get something done with the product. So put away your test script, put away your automated check, and try to do something, putting yourselves in the position of somebody who wants to get something done, and note anything which you find confusing, annoying, frustrating, harder than it feels like it ought to be, and report that as a bug. That's what I would do.
My suggestion is to watch any tester for at least 10 minutes and write down every single thing that tester does for 10 minutes. Every single thing. We call that a testopsy.
Testopsy.
It's
Yep.
It could be a very good exercise to very
Yes.
carefully observe a tester in action, because usually you realize, oh my God, I didn't realize how many things testers do that they don't realize they're doing, and the testers themselves don't realize they're doing them. So it can
Yeah.
be okay to just spend a little time. What you might even do this with your own work. Video 10 minutes of your own work where you're engaged with the product somehow, and then go through that. Michael and I have done this where we've gone through frame by frame. We've gone through sometimes 2-second snippets of video and carefully written down everything that happened in a 7-minute video. 2 seconds. by 2 seconds. We have a record of one of those times we did that, and we always learn great things by doing that.
Testopsy only appears as a footnote.
Yes, it's
in
in
the
one
book.
of them. It's in one of the missing chapters.
It's it's footnoted in Tai Xiaomei's chapter.
That's right. That's right. There in my part of the book, in Michael and I's part of the book, where the first half of the book is our methodology. There are two missing chapters. We decided that we had to ship the book, and so we were originally going to have a chapter about how to adopt RST. And that would be all about learning testing. How do you learn testing? What are different learning activities you can do? And another chapter was going to be about, let's see, there was adopting. I think I was going to do something on coaching.
Management.
Managing testing, and we didn't have time to put those in. So that'll have to be in some future version of this book.
Yeah, so will the next edition of the book have those chapters?
Oh, if we do another edition, I will absolutely add the missing chapters in and have a more complete idea of the methodology. We'll also have more examples, and we'll update what we said about AI, because we've made a lot of progress on AI, and we have a new testers and AI class that we teach now. Software testing and AI that we're excited about, where we teach people how to use AI responsibly, not trusting AI, but definitely using AI to help you test products. And
I'll be presenting that class in Auckland and Christchurch and Sydney and Melbourne over the next month. What James didn't mention about the second edition of the book and all the extra content is the second edition will come with wheels for easier portability. Because once we add that extra stuff, it's going to be a bit of an effort to get it up and down stairs on your own. So it'll come with a little hand truck.
Oh, well, on that note, I would like to thank you both. I think we've gone over time. And
thanks
I
for
want to
having
thank
us,
the
Rajesh.
audience.
This
No,
is
it
great.
is,
Thank
it
you.
is, it is always a pleasure to talk to both of you. There is so much to learn. There's so much takeaways. I mean, I have made a whole list of takeaways from the book already. But it's always interesting, and I want to thank you both personally for the encouragement that you've always given to the test chat community, and by supporting us by coming to the channel and having conversations like this. So thank you both.
For the benefit of those who have not done very much of that, like me, or who haven't looked into the test chat, maybe Brijesh, it'd be a nice idea for you to identify how people seeing this podcast could join that community too.
Yes. So we are essentially a Telegram group where we want to have conversations about testing. Well, my participation has been a little low because of health reasons and whatever. But I am slowly coming back there as well, trying to increase the presence. I would like to, invite you all to join and contribute and talk about it. I will add the link as soon as this video is posted on YouTube. I will add in the comments section as to how you can join. I will also add a comment on the LinkedIn stream that is going on right now as to how you can join this community and contribute. So thank you so much, James and Michael, and to everyone else who contributed to the book. I think it was high time that we all needed the book, and so that's why I really appreciate Marius and how for pushing you guys to do this. Thank you so much. You've been really inspiring, and I'm sure that this book is going to trigger a lot more conversations.
Well, thank you, Brijesh. We really appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you. And thank you to the audience for being there and listening to us patiently.